guys, welcome to this edition of Scott's podcast series. I am delighted and privileged to have another former colleague on. I had Jason Hagemeyer on yesterday from Illinois. Today, I have the pleasure of having on Jaymie Rubiano. Did I pronounce that right? I messed that up on Instagram.
You did. Good job.
Jaymie Rubiano. I said Rubino on Instagram. I thought it was that way for years. I mean, her maiden name's Hill. I mean, if she just would have made it Hill, I would have had to rehearse it for 2 hours before this podcast. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, Jaymie, really delighted to have you on. Worked with you way back when we were babies, when we were just getting out of college with the Cavs and the Lake Erie Monsters, now known as the Cleveland Monsters. You were in the sports biz for a year. You branched off to do bigger and better things. What have you been doing these last 15 years?
Oh my gosh. So I left the Cavs and the Monsters, and there weren't a lot of opportunities in Cleveland. So I actually moved to Pittsburgh and started my career in advertising. So I was in advertising for about 8 or 9 years before I ended up where I am now, which is on the corporate side in retail. But advertising really helped me understand the full circle marketing process from beginning to end, which helped me. And then advertising also requires you to wear a lot of different hats. So by wearing all of the different hats, I was able to identify what I was most passionate about and what I could kind of do without. And I got a lot of clarity around where I wanted to go with my career. I had a lot of opportunities and experiences in the agency life that got me to where I landed at American Eagle, that being a lot of international experience. So I worked on GlaxoSmithKline's oral care business. So lots of toothpaste and denture care, which was kind of a weird sidestep in my career, but I launched Aquafresh in 17 different countries, both in, retail stores and also 17 different websites. So working with 17 different countries on localizing the language, localizing the brand, whatnot, working all hours of the day and night to get that going. That experience got me a recruiter from AE reached out to me based off of that experience. They were looking for a person to launch stores and a website in the UK, and American Eagle had been interviewing people in the UK and just couldn't find the right fit. So they ended up reaching out to me because I had experience in the UK. And that started my career on what we call the corporate side, and also my first gig in real retail. And so I ended up being the UK brand manager for almost 2 years. I thought it was going to be a temporary position. It ended up taking a little bit longer to find the right fit there. But once we did, I transitioned to a larger international role and really started to flex my muscles where I was most passionate, and that's in marketing strategy. So really trying to figure out how to localize what we were doing in the US in the different countries where we exist as a brand. Now, funny part is that at the time, the US American Eagle business did not have marketing plans, and they did not have marketing strategies. So I would try to implement things internationally and not really have anything to work off of. So I was coming up with things from scratch, but noticed that huge opportunity actually for myself, because I knew it was an open role that was needed, whether they recognized it yet or not. So I sort of waited my turn, and an incredible new CMO came on board, who ended up changing my life in a lot of different ways. Her name is Kyle Andrew. She's actually now the CBO, Chief Brand Officer of Athleta, which is a new kick-ass women's athleisure brand in the Gap family. But anyways, she came on and immediately realized that there was this desperate need for marketing strategy and marketing plans. And she kind of announced that open role, to which I went straight into her office and said, I would like the opportunity to interview. I have 10 years experience. And so the rest is history. I essentially started strategy and marketing planning from scratch at American Eagle. I defined the process, what it looked like, what needed to happen, built all of the relationships that needed to be built within marketing and cross-functionally to get that buy-in of having a marketing strategy and getting that seat at the table at important planning meetings. for marketing strategy to play its part. So I've been at American Eagle now for going on 8 years, and I've been in this strategy role for about 4. And I love it. I mean, now the process is like a nice working machine, and I plan our annual strategies, our seasonal strategies, as well as I call them mini strategies, but they can become large projects. So if we want to dig into a certain category, like men's tops, for example, and we see that maybe the business isn't doing well there, we can really dig into the customer side of things, the market, what the market as a whole is doing, trends, fashion trends, and even retail trends, like are they shopping in store, online, gathering all of that information, and then coming up with a strategy to either improve the business if that's what we need to do, or shift our trend focus into something else if that's where the information is pointing us. But that's really what I do. I kind of get all of that information from the different teams that work on mining that information, and then put together an overarching perspective that can lead us in a direction to help grow our business.
Amazing summary of your career. Seasonal assistant to director of marketing, American Eagle, big time. Wouldn't expect any less. Going back to like in-store shopping, ordering online, like what percentage of people go to the malls to American Eagle and buy the products? And what percentage do people buy online? I'm just like curious with those statistics over the years. Are more people buying online, or are people still going to the stores?
It's funny you asked that, because before COVID, before the pandemic, we were very heavily in stores. I would say, like a 60-40 split, which is a lot when you think about numbers and sales. When the pandemic hit, obviously stores shut down, and a lot of that shifted into digital, and we relied heavily on our website to do the majority of our sales. We were also innovating at that time on ways that we could still run and operate through our stores without necessarily having our doors open. So buy online, pick up in store, where it was a huge innovation for us at that time. I mean, we had it before, but really played into it then. So to answer your question now, we're still in the pandemic, but obviously stores are open back up. And what we actually were curious about, especially from a strategy perspective, was that question around, have people adopted new behaviors by shopping online, and will they continue that even after the pandemic? Or do people want to get back in stores and touch and feel the product and try the product on? And so I would say the majority of those who shopped in store are back to shopping in stores. We see the trend shifting back to the brick and mortar side, but digital still has its strengths. And with the ebbs and flows of the COVID-19 variants, we see it kind of pulsing up and down, but stores still take our lead.
Interesting. That makes sense, and that's good to see people back in the stores. And really, another question. This is more like a loaded question, really about American Eagle and just like clothing in general. The world, I believe, is getting more casual, specifically because COVID-19 happened. Everyone's working remote for the most part nowadays. Obviously, more office settings as these variants hopefully go away and we get over this pandemic and just be an epidemic. Are you seeing like more people like in the market to buy casual clothing such as American Eagle since the pandemic hit?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you asked that, because we offer athleisure, comfortable clothes, as well as our jeans and what we now call dressier styles, right? That used to be casual. And now if people are going back into work or even back into school, wearing jeans is considered dressing up. So again, this is where strategy comes into place, is anticipating when that demand is going to shift, right? So we saw when the pandemic hit, our athleisure apparel sales just skyrocketed, right? Our jean sales didn't tank, but they definitely weren't as strong as they typically are. But in strategy, we were trying to plan around the anticipation of that pent up demand exploding back into the market. And we figured, we call it back to school time. It's essentially fall of 2021 was when we knew to hit it hard with jeans. And we did it. We were there, we capitalized, and we exceeded our sales plans for the rest of the year because of that pent up demand for jeans. People were going back to school, they were going back to work in person. So the athleisure part of category of our sales are still doing really well because we still have people working from home and still wanting to be comfortable. But for those going back in person, our jean sales are just exploding.
That's amazing. And like, has there been any like supply chain issues? Have you run out of clothing from pent up demand? Like, how do you handle the glorious supply chain of retail?
Yeah, so that was also another, like, when you're in the industry, you can kind of start to hear about that stuff really early on. So we started talking about supply chain issues like, I would say, summer of last year, and started to anticipate the impact that was going to make on back to school and holiday, which are in retail our two biggest quarters of the year, where most of our sales plans sit. So our CEO, Jay Schottenstein, who's been around forever, genius businessman. I don't even know, I can't even really go into detail of like what he bought, but he decided to take control of his own supply chain. So he started to buy segments of supply chain that then we had in our control. So when those who were, at the mercy of, ships coming across sea, we were airing stuff in, and that cost a lot more money, and it took a hit on our margins and overall profitability, but we were able to make up for it in other areas. But Jay was super smart and getting ahead of that. He was even meeting with those who owned fleets and harbors, and he got in the mix to kind of get ahead of it and resolve issues for AE before I think other retailers were even able to recognize that was a problem. And I think that did us really well. Now, we still are experiencing supply chain issues to this day. And there are issues where we are seeing some of our holiday product just hit stores, and holiday is far gone and far over with. So we've anticipated that. We've planned for it with promotions and marketing messaging. And, it's just something that we're continuing to have to deal with. But luckily on the American Eagle side, we got ahead of a lot of it, and we're able to offset some of that hit that most of the industry has taken.
Perfect segue to like my next like question. Obviously, clothing seasonal, trends go seasonal, they come and go. Does like American Eagle send like last year's edition of like the TJ Maxx, the Marshalls of the world, or you guys stay away from that? I believe I've seen like American Eagle, like in TJ Maxx and Marshalls through the years. Is that like a plan that you guys have?
It is definitely part of our strategy. We obviously, our first priority is to clear our inventory on our own. So I would say that even its impact on the environment is something that's super important to us. So we do a lot of messaging around like quality. So whether you buy this season's pair of jeans or next season's pair of jeans, like that quality should last you, a couple of years to keep it out of landfills and whatnot. Sure. But in terms of seasonality, we do have a strategy for off-price retailers to take on our inventory, but we also have a factory strategy where older seasons show up in factory at a discounted price as well. So you'll see us show up in a lot of what kind of malls are those called now? My mind is going blank, but those
I should have producer Mike click the unpause button and step in. Mine too. It's like the outdoor malls.
Yes,
like,
outlets, the outlet malls. There we go.
Yeah.
Combined knowledge.
Yeah. So the outlets for sure. And before we let you go for the day, I follow you on Instagram now, and it seems like you're involved in a lot of other causes. Besides your amazing full-time job, you got a great family and so forth. What else would you like to tell the viewers as we end this amazing podcast?
Well, I think for me, finding and having the opportunity to combine things that I'm passionate about with what I do for a job is what has kept me excited, passionate, and continuing to grow in my career. Whenever I have the opportunity to do things that for me matter and make a difference in the world, that's when I'm like, I get up early and I'm like ready to work, right? So especially when Kyle was on board, our previous CMO, and even our new CMO, we put a focus on doing good in the world, American Eagle specifically. And we partner with homeless shelters, Feeding America, getting meals on tables, and the environment is an enormous priority for us. Helping young people in their mental health has been an enormous priority for us. So, those things are important to me outside of work, but having the opportunity to also do that at a larger scale with a larger budget through American Eagle has allowed me to sort of combine my passion with what I do for a living and make an even bigger impact than me as one single person can do on Instagram. But yeah, I'm super passionate about helping others, showing love to everyone. And, my husband, he is Filipino and my children are Asian, and I'm very much an advocate for Asians and stopping Asian hate. So that is a huge priority for me in my personal life. And just being a mom, that's probably my favorite job.
That's the best part, and I love seeing those pictures with the kiddos. And I forgot to show this at the beginning, but I can't believe I still have this Lawless shirt. All these
Oh
years,
my God.
like I literally like always doing my clothes and so forth. Oh, those were the times.
Oh my God, those were the days. I love it. I could cry right now. I wonder if I still have mine.
You got to look in your closet.
Dude, why didn't you wear that?
I know. I forgot to wear it. I should have wore it. Yeah. We'll wear it next time. We'll do like another checkup on.
Yeah, we'll have to do a check-in for sure.
Check-in, and I'll let you say my hashtag if you know it before we go.
Is it lean and clean?
Lean and clean. You got it. We're 1 of 2 today. Jason didn't get it, but Jaymie did. Jason missed it yesterday. Jaymie did. Jaymie, thanks again for coming on. We'll have you on again soon. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday.
You too. It was good to see your face. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
See you.